And the first thing I have to say is, to everybody who said, oh, Detroit's home, they got Matt Stafford, they're going to be fine. I told you. I was not even surprised. Like, the Green Bay Packers win their 6th in a row. They are champions of the NFC North. They clinched the 4th seed in the NFC playoffs. They will have the Giants on Sunday at Lambeau. And a 31-24 win. I'm not going to lie into here. I knew it was going to be a fight. Man, I mean, you talk about this, and I tweeted this yesterday. Detroit's last 4 games were not great. 1 win out of their last 3 would have gave them the division title. Thanks to the Giants are the only reason Detroit's in to begin with. Detroit collapsed.
You know, the thing about the Lions, Sean, and this was a conversation we had on Double F Sports because, of course, Sam Flesher is the resident Lions fan here at WMSC.
Poor kid.
This team, to me, doesn't have a lot of talent. They've got 3 really good receivers, really, because I'm a huge Anquan Bolden fan. I have been forever. He was just terrific this year for them. This team, in some ways, I think they overachieved. I had them as a 7-9 type team this year, and here they are. They're in the wild card round. They certainly struggled down the stretch. You're absolutely right. Listen, Aaron Rodgers called his shot, got it done. Have we all said that we're tired of hearing about it, or we don't want this, we don't want that? Yes. Bottom line is, here they are in this round to take on the Giants now. Sunday night, even when Detroit was ahead, it never felt like they were really going to win the game.
And, I got this written down. It's not like Detroit didn't have chances. They were up 14-10 at the half. And even then, I didn't feel good about it. I was like, yeah, you're up 14-10, but it's Aaron Rodgers. It's Mike McCarthy. I have Aaron Rodgers' numbers right here. If you didn't think he played well on Sunday night, go back and watch the game. 27 for 39, 300 yards, and 4 touchdowns. And to give Green Bay a bigger advantage in the playoffs, their running game's back.
The running game has done a nice job. Thing is, Montgomery got hurt Sunday night.
Gonna have to lie on Ripkowski now.
Okay, yeah, I know, Ripkowski. I'm not sure if the running game is good enough. They're facing a team in the Giants who really don't run the ball that well either. Paul Perkins had a really nice game Sunday in Washington, but I have my questions about that running game. But the interesting thing about Aaron Rodgers' career, Sean, and I find his career arc to be one of the more puzzling ones the league's ever had. He won a Super Bowl at such a young age, and he took over this team from Brett Favre, and he ends up taking it to a Super Bowl as the wild card, and they go all the way, and they win. Really, ever since, it's been disappointment after disappointment after disappointment. The loss of the Seahawks in the NFC title game, losing at home in the wild card round to Colin Kaepernick, barely beating the Cowboys the game before the Seahawks.
Last year in Arizona.
Right, the collapse in Seattle. Last year in Arizona, he carried them through that game, but last year was a disappointing season all the way around. Listen, are the Packers hot? Yes. I don't think they're as amazing a team as they have played of late. Still the same team that for 11 weeks was a mess.
Right. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that, they're the dominant team, but you can't sit here and say they're not one of the favorites. We were talking about this before we got on air. We're going to break this down a little bit later when we talk about the Cowboys. This is the toughest NFC playoff picture in years.
In a while.
In years. And not even just for Dallas, but for Green Bay, but for New York, especially for Detroit. You've seen Detroit's path to the Super Bowl? It starts in Seattle.
The second Giant Super Bowl victory, 2011, to me that was one of the tougher years of the conference because you had Green Bay was the 1.
San Francisco was the 2.
2. Saints 3. Giants 4. Falcons were 5 with an 11-5 record.
Right.
Hey, Detroit. It was the first year Detroit made the playoffs in years. That was a very deep year. 07 Giants went through the 1-seed Cowboys, 2-seed Packers. This is definitely a good crop of NFC playoff teams.
And I think the main thing is it's like, tough as it is, in comparison to the AFC right now, which I'm calling the New England Invitational, because it's basically who gets to play New England in the AFC Championship and lose. Compared to the AFC, the NFC is probably filled with the best talent in the NFL right now. Not saying that New England won't win the Super Bowl, but compared to the NFC right now, you've got Dallas, New York, Atlanta, Green Bay. And back on my point on Green Bay, you can't sit here and say they're not one of the favorites because, yes, they're red hot. They were a mess for 11 weeks. The best thing to do before the playoffs is go in red hot, and that's exactly what they're doing, and they get a New York team in a climate that's going to favor them. The long-term weather forecast, according to Al Michaels, it's supposed to be in single digits on Sunday night. Advantage Green Bay already. Aaron Rodgers was elite. He did everything he had to do, and to think People wanted Mike McCarthy fired 6 weeks ago.
I still don't know if Mike McCarthy is as great a coach as everyone has always thought he is. Like I said, I don't think that much has changed with this Packers team as much as Aaron Rodgers put them on his back. Can he do that for the next 4 weeks?
We'll see.
That's an interesting question.
And I told everybody last week, I didn't say that it could come down to the wire. I didn't say that Detroit had a shot. I said they were going to lose to Green Bay.
I didn't have any confidence in them winning the game.
I said the pressure was on Detroit. Green Bay had more experience in games like this. Aaron Rodgers was a better quarterback.
The pressure was on the Redskins first, and they crumbled.
And Detroit is lucky that New York won, or else we're not even talking about Detroit going to Seattle. We're talking about Detroit going to the Caribbean islands for the next couple of weeks because they're out of the playoffs.
Wasting an outstanding year from Matt Stafford.
Absolutely. An MVP candidate type of season for Matt Stafford.
The good news for the Lions is, and I was thinking about this the other day, they had a very positive season, I think, because no one really pegged them for this. They took a big step forward. They're clearly a few pieces from being, I think, on par with Green Bay.
Right.
Then they need to add a running back and improve a little bit in certain areas. It would have been a shame for this team to miss completely. As you said, there was just no confidence that they were going to win
Even when they were winning, I had no confidence.
No confidence.
Because you had Aaron Rodgers go out in the second half. They played very well in the fourth quarter. Again, Detroit played awful in their last 4 games. 1 win out of their last 3 gives them the North. What they do with it after that, whatever, but it's their first division title in 26 years. They would have had a home game for the first time in 26 years, and within 4 weeks, they coughed it all up. Now, give Green Bay credit. Now, I'm not saying Detroit lost, their last 9 games in a row, but the
schedule got a lot tougher.
They lost the last 3 games that mattered to them, including Sunday night against Green Bay. I tweeted this the other day. I said, what was it? The Lions collapsed, and on Saturday, Seattle's going to finish it, and I mean that. Seattle's going to finish this mess.
When we were on Double F Sports, they came out of Thanksgiving. We have really felt, myself, Michael Figueroa, Sam Fletcher, we all were in agreement. It looks like it's going to be their divisional loop. They had the game at home again, on the road at New Orleans, which they won, a tight one there. They pulled that out late. They extended the lead 28-13 there. Then they had the game where Stafford sustained the injury against Chicago. They came back and won that one. But we looked at the schedule after the Saints and Bears game, at the Giants, at the Cowboys, and home for the Packers. Those 3 stood out right away. The Giants were not close to clinch yet. They were trying to make sure that at least they were the 5 seed. They were still in the race for the division. Dallas wanted to lock everything up. They had everything locked up, but they wanted to celebrate the division with a W. It was a really tough last 3 games, and they don't have enough firepower to match up with these superior opponents.
You know what's funny about that Dallas game? Me and my dad were talking about it. Dallas beat them for fun. That's what it was.
In the first half, I think myself and you and Sean Martin were talking about this. The first half, the Cowboys just didn't really seem all that engaged in the game. And then all of a sudden, it was like, we're just going to go out here and do what we want. They ran the trick play and all that. I think the Cowboys just kind of took advantage of them in the second half. I think Detroit, that game is like a microcosm of their season. They can only put together periods of strong play, and then they hit another lull, and they have to find a way to hang in there in games like that. Typically, they hit stride in the second half of games. Right. That Monday night in Dallas, they hit the first half was their game, and then wow.
You know what I said? I said on Monday, and it was, of course, hours before the Monday night game, that Detroit was not going to beat Dallas. They were not going to beat Green Bay and the Packers. Congrats to the Packers, 4th division title in the last 5 years. They are a threat in the playoffs. As for the Lions, Detroit is going to go die in Seattle.